Hey guys, today we're gonna see how we can scrape Yelp data using Python and Beautiful Soup. Okay, so we're gonna use the Python library, the request library in Python, um, the Beautiful Site library and the request library in Python to scrape Yelp listings. Okay, so for that, let's identify what it is that we're gonna scrape. So I'm gonna go to yelp.com. And let's San Francisco is just fine, so we're just going to restaurants there. And these are the best 10 restaurants there. Okay, so this is how it is listed. Okay, so we're gonna try and scrape these. Okay, so before we can scrape it, we need to crawl it in a way, right? We need to get this data. So let's see, this particular URL is what we need. So we're gonna put that in a URL variable, which we'll need sooner or later. And make sure that you imported Beautiful Soup just like so, and import requests just like so. Requests will get the data. The way to get that is to use the request um, get command. Simple as that, really. Pass the URL to it and optionally pass the headers to it, which is not going to be optional for us. So we're going to make a headers array, because unless you pretend to be a browser, you are not going to pass through the web server, uh, you know. You have to pretend to be a browser rather than a bot or a crawler. Otherwise, Yelp and all these, Amazon and all these places will block you sooner or later, right? So the way to do it is to pass something called the user agent string as a part of the array. Okay, so it goes like this: user agent is the oops agent is a string that you're going to pass, and then the value of that means what is it, what browser are you, right? There are hundreds of these, and that identifies the browser, the family of the browser, the exact version of the browser. It also identifies the operating system, so that web servers can tailor make that content for you, responsive piece or whatever it is. That was the original intent. Now web servers use this to block people, bots, for example, right, which don't identify as a web browser. The workaround is simple. You just Google user agent strings and you'll get some of the latest ones. So this one is what I've already picked out. There are lots of them if you just Google it. And I'm going to pick out Mac OS based computer using a Safari browser. It's good enough for me. It's the closest also to what I'm already using. So I'm just going to, I'm just going to copy that and paste it properly. Yeah, so that tells Yelp that I am Safari on a macOS, and the response is collected here. Then let's just print the response. Um, response has many things to it. Let's just put the content out, okay, just to test. And let's save this as, I don't know, beautiful soup underscore Yelp. Okay, so then I'm just gonna clear this previous stuff that I was up to, and then let's run it Python 3 and beautiful soup underscore Yelp.py. Should give us a lot of gibberish if it works. Oh, Responde is not defined. And I'm just going to response that now. Oof. Yeah, that looks okay. Even though that looks ugly, that looks okay because that's HTML and that's exactly how it was born. Okay, now I'm just going to comment that out. That worked as expected. So now let's get into the serious business of actually scraping this content. Now we have the content with us, all right? Now we got to scrape it. So we got to use beautiful soup for the very first time, right? So the way to do it is pass that content onto, don't touch it, just pass it hot to beautiful soup and tell beautiful soup to use the LXML parser for this, okay? If you don't have a LXML library, it might throw an error. Sometimes it's not there. Even after installing Beautiful Soup, it should come with it. But if it's not, just install it. And then collect that into a soup variable. And now nothing happens on this line except that the parsing has happened in the secret passageways of beautiful soups factories. So once that's done, you can now query it and do whatever you want with it. Okay, so that's now this is the complexity and the wrestling will start. Okay, so before I start that, I want to get some data out so that you get some confidence. Okay, so to see it is some familiarity with how beautiful soup works, as well as we'll figure out the challenges with web scraping now. Okay, so now look at this. I just want to get the title, Fog Harbors Fish Houses, one of the titles. To get to this title, one of the ways to do it is to look at the class name and query the class name. All right, but then look at the class names. Lemon underscore dash dash something something. It's hilarious how difficult they deliberately made this for us to scrape. Okay, so what happens with this is there is no meaningful words here. That means it's coming from an algorithm, which is a code which might change every day, every few days, every few minutes. So this is a tough one to scrape this. So this is a real challenge in scraping, guys. Okay? But before we attempt that challenge, I'm going to get you familiar with just going with the flow for now. Okay, let's just get this class. Let's just get some data. For a minute, it's fine. It's going to work for now. So let's find something. Okay, I think this will work. Let me just see if we can get this out. Okay, let's use this class. I'm just going to comment this so that we can come back to it, right? And now that we have the soup, we can call the soup and use the select of function and then pass like in jQuery, exactly like that. You can pass whatever you pass in jQuery, you can do it here. Call the class link underscore blah blah blah, that weird class. Okay, and let's just, and this always, if you do a select like that, this always gives you an array. You have to remember that. So I don't want the entire array because you know, I just want the first item of the array. So I'm just going to point to the first item, and even a random item. And I don't want the HTML. I'm going to do a get text. It converts all HTML, strips it out, gives you the text, and then I'm just going to print it. So this gives me quick and dirty to see if I am on the right path. And then I'm going to remove the other prints. Yes, there you go. It should give me one result at least, which is a one restaurant name. There you go. It's got me something, uh, which says San Francisco CA, because this class name is so weird that it's probably a lot of other things use it. All right. So if I just, this is actually fun to see if what happens if I use this particular class name. Glad I kept that. I might just get the actual name of the restaurant. Okay, but you now know that it can actually pinpoint to something, right, already. This is not the way to do it. I will show you the proper way. Yelp it says, right? So let's use the last one. Maybe the last one here might be the one that actually works out. Dot boom. Okay, this is, I love this fight between the code and me here to see what works. And I was going to say, all right, here we go. Let's see if I'm a little bit more stubborn, which I can choose to be. I can just go up a notch and get that part. Let me go up a notch here. See if I can, if, haha, heading. Yeah, this says heading. Where did we get heading? There we go. So we're going to get a heading one because there can't be so many headings that we can, I think, get away with it. So we just that the heading thing. Don't worry, guys. This will make it much simpler than this. We'll tame this. But I just want you to understand why taming it is so important, right? How all the measures that web servers take, people coders take to make it difficult for scraping. Yum yum sushi house. There you go. I got something. I got something that sounds like a restaurant. Okay. I think that'll be one of these anyway. And so it doesn't matter. It looks like a thing, and we can go with it. Anyway, we're not using it. So I'm happy to call truce on this. Truce on this. Okay. So now we're going to go down a much cleverer route. Okay, now watch. Now we are looking for a wrapper for this. We want a something which holds all this information in one place, so that then we can query relatively, right? If we just had HTML which was only this big, then it's easy to query relatively, even if they change the class names or whatever. It doesn't matter because we can just say, hey, get me the H2 inside of that. There will be only one H2. get me all the weird images. There'll be only so many images, right? So it's one of the problems. You take the whole problem of huge HTML and narrow it down to a smaller place. So I'm now looking for the biggest division that I can get away with, so that even if I have to change my code, I don't have to change much. I just change one, I get everything else within it. Here we go. I think this is the biggest division, right? And I'm attracted to this particular point because it has a word container in it. That's the most meaningful word I've seen in the last 10 minutes I'm speaking here. And even that has weird container underscore something, something, something. Okay. So I'm going to get container and play with that. Everything else has borders, more CSS based reference. Container is the most sensible thing. It contains this particular restaurant. Right? There you go. Nothing more than that. The one below is not contained in it. Right? You can see that. So that's safe. So within that, then now we have a smaller problem to address. So let's just do a for each. If you can just do a for each in this. So if I, for example, if I can just go for items in, okay, somehow get that container. Let's see if we can select that container. And the way to do it, guys, is we can't just do dot container, because the container itself is weirdly distributed like that. See, it's not a separate container class. It's container underscore underscore 373 like that, right? So how are we going to just sort of pick container out of this? There's a way. What I'll do is I'll use a selector like this. I'm going to bracket it out, use the attribute here, which is class, and then use a star operator. Equals means it has the words container, right? That narrows it down to this particular container class. Okay, there might be other things which have a word container in them. So there are, I think, clever ways to remove that as well. So we look at that as well if it comes across. Okay, because there'll be errors here, I'm going to use a try, and I'm going to use a try except. Okay, catch the exception and stop it from being raised, and then print something just so that you can trick. It's a little hack I'm going to use, guys. Okay, here we go. Here is where I'm going to now fetch. So I'm doing a for each on all containers. So inside a container, let's see if I can find that h4 now. Okay, so if you look at this, inside the container, and I go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Somewhere we saw h4 earlier. So deeper, more divisions, more divisions, more uglier divisions. The number one is there, and NBSP, and next to that is a class. But all of this is an h4 class. So I can, h4 seems to be pretty exclusive thing. I don't think anybody else can use this for headings, right? So we don't need the class name, but the h4 tag we can go for, right? That's a cleverer thing to go for. That won't change. Listen to this very carefully. They might change these things. They might change the order around, but the h2 will probably remain for a long, long time. So going for class here is foolhardy. Okay, I can even go for heading here. Okay? My safer bet will be h4. Okay, so I'm going to bet on that instead of going for okay. So, or here's how I'll use this. Okay, guys, I will say if this particular container contains at least one h4, then I will take this seriously. How about that? Okay, this container should contain one h4 class at least, then I will take it seriously. So this I will use to filter out any rubbish. Okay, so I'm going to go if item, no, not items, yeah, sorry, item dot select. I think select is not a good idea. Here we are going to use a find class. Okay, find is a beautiful find function in beautiful soup. H4. No, did I say H4? Yeah, S4, S4, not H2. Right? If there is a find, if there is a h4 inside of this container, then it's a container that I want. Okay, otherwise it's not a container that I want. So then I'll say, can you find me the same thing? Item dot find again. If it is there, then give me that. It's an odd way of saying it. If it is there, then give me that. That get text, boom, boom, and then print this, please. Okay, so this is the name of the restaurant. We tried that here, but we're trying it in a proper way here. Let's see if this prints out all the names of the restaurants, because we are for eaching it, for eaching it. There you go, guys. So we got even the ads and all that. There are many other ways to optimize this. I think that's the first two or three are the ads, the rotating ads, and then you have the numbers. Using the numbers as a clue, maybe you can say, hey, we'll ignore the ads. So there are always some clues somewhere. So I'm not going to get into optimizing this. Like I said, the point is to just get to data. Okay. So let's solve the other issues. Okay. So how do I get the rest of the data? Okay, so what are the rest of the data? Now we got the names. Can we get these? Let's get the ratings first of all. We don't know what the ratings is, so let me see what those reviews are made of. Review count. Okay, so review count. It says review count here. Can you see this, guys? Review count. This is good enough for me. Okay, but it has some gibberish after that. But they're not going to change review count. All right, so I think that's pretty good. So what I'll do is I will use the same technique here, which is anything which contains the word review count. So let's just copy it because I don't want to do any mistakes. So I'm going to remove it. This is what we're going after, review count underscore. So we just take this off for a second, and then inside of this, can we use the same technique as here? Okay, so that means if there's a h4, print soups, not soup dot select now item, because we want to restrict within that item. Class contains the words review count. So there's only one review count. Trust me, inside that container. So now we are so zeroed in on that object that we cannot go wrong. You can see how this is so tight. All right. Review count, that gives an array we have to be careful of. So we're going to go and say the first item of that array, even though it's always going to be one item. All right, and then we want to get the gibberish out. So we're going to do text of it and then just print it. Okay, so let's see if this weird technique works. So we should get names as well as the review counts for each. Here you go. You got it. That's your review count, guys. Cool. Cool. All right. So let's get the ratings. Okay, so I'm going to go to the ratings, and ratings. Ooh, this is a tough one, you see, because the ratings are an image. How are you going to get the image and turn that into actual data? It points to a different image each time. So what we do, but you see the label here, Araya label, 4-star rating. That's what we want. That's our data. It's hidden as a part of a label. Okay, that's good enough. Right? Can beautiful soup get us a label? Knowing how it is labeled. Yes, it can. Okay, so here's how we do it. We're going to go back here. Okay. Soup. How to get a label? Soup. Select. From this, you might have already worked out how to get it, but I'm just going to go through it. Soup.select. Okay, that bracket tells that attribute is coming up. Okay, so what is the attribute name? Araya label. Araya label. Okay, array label has a value again has a value, not a direct value, so it's a star. It has the words, array label has the words rating. rating in it. It's always there, or star in it. You can even say star. Okay. Just gonna go for rating for a second. Okay. Then get me all of those labels because it's an array. Take the first one out of it. So funny. It's so meta, this one. And then get me the, which means it will give me, this is just a pointer to that entire, using the attribute, get me everything about the whole division's content, and including the division is given to you. So you then go back and say, give me the label itself. So weird. So which means I have to again say array a label here. You see this fun thing, right? You're selecting based on the labels wording occurring inside of it, and then taking that array. Now you've forgotten how you got that array. So you're going to go back to the array and give me the first item of the array, because there's only one item in that array, you know that. And inside of that, you're going to look for the value, because that array piece contains everything um, about that division. So now you're going to go and look back on the array label, and hopefully this works, guys. This is a big one. Okay, let me see if I can print this and get only the labels and not some weird HTML or any other attributes. Okay, and before I do this, I just want to, because it's all getting a little muddy, I'm going to print a separator so that we can distinguish between restaurants here. Running it. Here we go. Guys, look at that. Okay, so that's how you get the ratings. Okay, so that gives us all the ratings we need, and it will give us, inside of that, can we get um get something. 1 second. Yes, one mistake I've done here, if you noticed already, always it's 3.5 star rating. Can you tell me why? No, you can't, because you're watching YouTube. It's because I called the soup. So that means the entire document. The whole point of it is to call the item. Let's run it. It should change. All the time, everybody has 3.5, which is not true. It should have different ratings now, appropriately. All right. After this, if this works, after this, we'll just get one more something out of that, and then we we can call it done. Because from now on, you can figure out the rest of it yourself if you need anything more. There you go. 4.5 star, 4 star, 4.5, 4, 3.5. So it's all different all the time. So this is actual data. So now, can we get one more piece? I have my eye on this, the address and stuff like that. So I'm just going to inspect that and see what's going on there. Yeah, as I suspected, it's a paragraph class. Okay, so I can get a paragraph class. I can just do a find on this, but I think even this is a paragraph class. Then I'll have to sort of wrestle with that. Or can I go upwards, upstream a little bit here? Oh, okay, wait a minute. I'm in the wrong place. I need the whole thing. The whole thing. Right, there you go. What is the biggest, what, okay, there it is. That whole thing is occupied by this one division, right? So here, again, there is no P, it's a div class. There's hundreds of divs. So what I can do is I can get the secondary attributes. There you go. That will be unique. That's a unique name. That's going to stay. So I'm just going to copy that part of the life here. Okay, secondary attributes. Again, this is a part of some scheme where they're trying to deviously confuse us. So I'm just going to take that here and keep it here for a second. And then we use the same technique as this, not the other one. and then go and say class which contains the words secondary attributes inside of the item. Get the first item because use an array and get the text and then print it. That's it. That should give us the address and phone number if there is any. Okay. Bingo. That's it, guys. Right. Um, there you go. You got your address with the phone number. What else do you need? Yeah, we'll do one more. What about this one? What about this old dollar, whatever? What's happening there? Okay. So I would say, what's the mother of all this? Yeah, I think that's the mother. Right. So if you look at it, that has something which caught my eye already, which is a price category. Price category. What category of price does this fall in? So I'm going to pick that up. I think it will give me the entire piece anyway. So I'm just going to take that, do exactly what I did here for the other one. Just copy paste, which is anything which has that wording in it, which is there'll be only one. And boom, it should give me an indication of the price. And then I'm done. I'm really done this time, okay? You can leave, guys. I'm done. I'm really done. All right, there you go. Beautiful, isn't it? That's it. Okay. You can even remove the dollars and just format it however you want, guys. Okay. So this is a way you can scrape Yelp using Beautiful Soup. Okay. And also to bypass issues with IP blocks and all that. But this is not enough, by the way. If you're really doing this in production, you need to obviously test this and do all sorts of tricks. You can save this data into a database or a CSV file, whatever you want to do, or put it in an array, pass it to another class that uses it in a bigger program. Do whatever you need to do. But if you're really going to hit Yelp with thousands of requests, this is not going to suffice. First of all, you need to rotate user agent strings because there are 100 of them. The latest ones, you want to keep rotating them so that it doesn't think it's exactly somehow the same exact browser that's been doing hundreds of requests. That doesn't sound like a human to me, and then it'll block it, the web server. Change the things. Even otherwise, that's not good enough because the web server can tell you're coming from the same IP, and you can only change the IP so much by restarting your router or using another machine. So if you really want to, and then you are going to respond for every failure, right? So that's the problem with it. So the way to overcome that, if you're of doing web crawling of any serious level, is to use a rotating proxy service. I happen to have one which I've developed myself, having worked on this for more than a decade now. Between us, a few 50 to 100 big scale projects, small scale projects, every kind. Yelp many times, weather.com many times. We've scraped all sorts of things. BBC, Reuters, New York Times. We've done all of that. 25,000 news websites we've done at one point for one particular service way back when. And then all of that experience have taught us that one of the ways to make it reliable is not just about the code, it's about your infrastructure and how professional it is in terms of reliable it is. So we developed all of that understanding into a rotating proxy service to scale web scraping. So all you got to do is we made it super simple for developers, which is just one URL will get you all the power. You'll never get blocked. Your users will never get restricted. So you pass the Yelp URL instead of passing it directly. You will call our API endpoint here, pass your API key, which you can get for free without even a credit card. 1,000 API calls free per month. No questions asked, no strings attached. And then you can just pass the endpoint URL that you want as a parameter to us, right? That's all you got to do, and you will get the results. You don't even have to do this user agent or even rotating user agents. We'll handle cookies, we'll handle sessions if you need to, captchas if you need to. 2 million plus private proxies, high speed residential proxies, which and no two requests will be passed through the same proxy for most people. We do millions of these fetches for hundreds of our clients every single day. So this is a proven infrastructure. Very rarely that anything fails in this infrastructure. Whereas if you do it on your own, of course, you'll keep failing. That's for at scale. Okay. Otherwise, it's just fine. If you're doing a few hundred pages, it's a hobby, or if it is just a small use case, then mostly this is fine. In fact, 90% of the time, the code here should do the trick. And if you extend this code, you're fine. But otherwise, if you're looking for something scalable, there are other options out there. You can consider mine as well. And please do that. And I've made it as easy as possible. There's lots of options if you go to documentation as to how to call, how to work in captures, all from a single API call, right? And no other hassle needed. So you just have to replace this line with this with the API key over here. Instead of calling Yelp directly, you're calling it as a parameter, and you're done. All the power of rotating proxies, automatic retries, automatic user agent rotation, and 30 different other tricks we use internally to make sure it's great fun having built this product. I tell you that much. And also to teach web crawling and web scraping is it's like a wrestling match every time, or a boxing match every time, I feel. And we put all of that understanding and practical experience into it. Uh, Go ahead and register, get your API key, test it, give us a toughie, give us a tough URL, which is probably already blocked you, ideally. Give us that and test our service. And if not, absolutely fine. I hope you got full value out of this and understanding of beautiful soups, how to overcome challenges, how to properly code a scraper which actually scales, right? What are the key things to consider? There are many, many ways of scaling, but this is a way uh, which will keep it stable, which is cements it. It's like it doesn't break that easy. Okay. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much. If you have a question, please leave a comment and then I will respond sooner or later. Or give us a like and subscribe to us. Thank you. Thank you very much.